Most people don't fail because they lack talent, discipline, or opportunity. They fail because they don't know why they are doing what they're doing. When the pressure hits, motivation fades, and the results don't come fast enough, the first thing to disappear is clarity. Your why is not a slogan you repeat when things are going well. It is the anchor that holds when everything feels uncertain. In moments of doubt, your why becomes the voice that says, keep going when logic says stop. If you don't learn how to use your why, you will keep reacting to life instead of leading it, chasing goals that look impressive but feel empty and mistaking movement for progress. Knowing your why is powerful, but using it is what changes behavior, decisions, and ultimately destiny. Clarity always comes before confidence because the mind cannot commit to a direction it does not understand. Men are often told to be confident first, to act strong, decisive, unshaken, but confidence without clarity is fragile and loud. When a man does not know why he is doing what he is doing, every obstacle feels personal. Every delay feels like failure, and every comparison feels like a threat. Clarity gives meaning to effort, and meaning stabilizes the mind when emotions fluctuate. Clarity reshapes how men experience pressure because it removes the need to perform for validation. From a man's internal psychology, uncertainty creates overcompensation. Working longer hours, chasing status, proving worth through exhaustion. From a woman's perspective, this lack of clarity often shows up as emotional distance or inconsistency, not because he doesn't care, but because he is fighting an invisible battle with direction. When a man is clear on his why, his behavior becomes predictable, grounded, and trustworthy. Clarity also transforms fear into information instead of paralysis. Men are not afraid of hard work. They are afraid of meaningless sacrifice. When the why is clear, fear becomes a signal rather than a stop sign. Women sense this shift intuitively. Clarity creates presence, and presence creates safety. Confidence then emerges naturally, not as bravado, but as calm certainty rooted in purpose. Clarity is what allows a man to stand still without feeling lost and to move forward without needing applause. It aligns action with identity, reduces inner conflict, and creates the quiet confidence that others feel before he ever speaks. A why that decorates decisions is like a flag waving on a stationary pole. It looks impressive but does nothing to move the mission forward. Too many men treat them why as a statement to impress others or a personal mantra repeated in moments of comfort, rather than a compass that directs every choice. When a why is only decorative, decisions are made based on convenience, fear, or social expectation, and confidence becomes an illusion. True power comes when your why informs every action, every negotiation, every sacrifice. Your why becomes the filter through which decisions are made, and this changes how men approach risk. Without it, the default is to chase short-term gains, approval, or validation. From a woman's perspective, the man who lets external pressures dictate his choices appears unreliable or distracted, even if his intentions are good. A why that guides behavior transforms perception. It makes him deliberate in action, consistent in character, and aligned with long-term vision. Women sense this alignment instinctively. It breeds trust and presence, and it makes influence natural instead of forced. When men allow them why to guide rather than decorate, stress is reduced because priorities become non-negotiable. Difficult decisions no longer feel like compromises, they become expressions of identity. Men stop reacting to circumstances and begin creating outcomes that are consistent with their purpose. Every choice, from business ventures to personal relationships, becomes an opportunity to live the why actively, rather than display it passively as a badge or a quote on a wall. A guiding why transforms hesitation into decisiveness and doubt into direction, shaping life from a series of reactions into a coherent, intentional journey. Pressure does not create character, it reveals it. Men often believe that their why exists because they can speak it confidently in comfort. But comfort is a poor test of purpose. True clarity of why only shows when stakes are high, deadlines are tight, and expectations are heavy. In these moments, excuses lose their power, and the man either acts in alignment with his purpose or drifts into distraction and compromise. Pressure is the mirror that exposes whether a why is authentic or merely aspirational. When a man faces pressure, his mind instinctively searches for shortcuts or reassurance. If the why is genuine, it acts as an internal guide, giving strength and focus without relying on external approval. From a woman's perspective, the difference is palpable. Men who operate from a real why remain steady, decisive, and emotionally present, even in crisis. Those whose why is superficial become reactive, unpredictable, and easily influenced by fear or fatigue. Women notice this alignment in subtle ways, in tone, in consistency, and in the courage to make hard choices without hesitation. Pressure also accelerates self-awareness. It forces men to confront whether their actions match their intentions. When challenged, a true why becomes a lever, not a slogan. It gives clarity when the mind wants to doubt, persistence when the body wants to quit, and courage when the heart fears judgment. It separates men who live purposefully from those who merely aspire to appear purposeful, highlighting that a real why is experienced through action, not proclaimed in words under pressure. A real why transforms obstacles into direction and adversity, into proof of commitment. Discipline is not the act of forcing yourself to do what you don't want to do. It is the natural byproduct of a why that is non-negotiable. Men often struggle with consistency because their motivation is external, status, approval, or fleeting rewards, rather than rooted in purpose. When the why is clear and unshakable, discipline stops being a daily battle of willpower and becomes a seamless extension of identity. Actions align naturally with intentions, and the friction between desire and duty diminishes. A non-negotiable why transforms how men experience sacrifice. Tasks that once felt tedious or burdensome become meaningful steps toward a larger goal. From a woman's perspective, this shift is immediately noticeable. A man operating from a strong why demonstrates reliability, patience, and focus, creating an emotional sense of stability. She senses that his actions are intentional rather than reactive, that his choices are consistent rather than impulsive. Discipline becomes a reflection of internal alignment rather than external pressure. When the why is non-negotiable, failure is reframed not as a personal flaw, but as feedback on the process. Men stop procrastinating because the stakes are internalized. They act because deviation is incompatible with identity. This inner clarity reduces the mental noise that sabotages consistency, making long-term effort less about struggle and more about natural progression. Women notice the confidence that comes from this alignment. It is quiet, steady, and magnetic because it is not performative, but authentic. Discipline, when guided by an unbreakable why, turns daily effort into a habit of integrity and converts persistence into a predictable, reliable force that others can trust. When men lose their why, the foundation of their life begins to crumble quietly, almost imperceptibly. The why is not a motivational phrase or a personal ambition. It is the central axis around which decisions, relationships, and identity revolve. Without it, choices become reactive, routines feel meaningless, and achievements, no matter how impressive, fail to satisfy. Men often underestimate how quickly a lost why can erode confidence, clarity, and direction, leaving them adrift in roles and responsibilities that no longer feel purposeful. Loss of why manifests first in subtle behaviors, hesitation in decisions, avoidance of challenges, and a growing dependency on external validation. From a woman's perspective, these shifts are even more apparent. She senses the restlessness, the indecision, and the emotional distance that accompany a fading purpose. Relationships suffer because presence diminishes, Priorities become muddled and integrity wavers. She feels uncertainty not as a singular event, but as a pattern, reflecting the instability that comes from a why no longer guiding action. The consequences extend beyond emotional and relational domains. They ripple into career, health, and personal growth. Men without a why often pursue goals that look impressive to the outside world, but feel hollow internally, mistaking busyness for progress. Decisions that once aligned with values are now dictated by habit or pressure, creating a life of quiet dissatisfaction. The why acts as a compass, and without it, every step becomes a gamble, every commitment a source of tension, and every day a test of endurance rather than an opportunity to thrive. When the why disappears, men find that everything else, confidence, discipline, connection, follows its decline. A why that is actively used transforms setbacks from obstacles into signposts. Men often encounter failure and frustration and interpret them as evidence of personal inadequacy or external unfairness. Without a clear why guiding them, these moments of resistance trigger doubt, fear, and sometimes paralysis. But when a why is actively engaged, consulted in moments of difficulty, it reframes setbacks as information, not judgment. Each challenge becomes a question. What can this teach me? And how does it redirect me toward what truly matters? The difference is subtle but profound. One approach breeds anxiety. The other breeds clarity. Using your why under pressure also shifts perspective on control. Men instinctively seek to dominate outcomes, to force results through effort alone, and often mistake struggle for failure. A why that is in use reminds them that the ultimate measure of progress is alignment, not immediate victory. From a woman perspective, this manifests as resilience that is quiet, not reactive. She notices a man who does not crumble under setbacks, who maintains presence and consistency even when the outcome is uncertain. His why-driven response generates calm authority, signaling reliability and emotional steadiness without needing to assert dominance or control externally. A used why strengthens decision-making under adversity. Setbacks become opportunities to test priorities, refine strategy, and reaffirm identity. Men who operate with an engaged why act deliberately rather than impulsively. They learn to differentiate between obstacles that demand action and distractions that demand emotion. Women sense this as intentionality, a rhythm of effort and reflection that communicates purpose, courage, and trustworthiness. A why in motion transforms setbacks from triggers of frustration into mechanisms of forward motion, providing direction in the midst of chaos and confidence in the midst of uncertainty. When applied consistently, a used why converts every challenge into a chance to advance, to learn, and to reinforce identity, turning life's inevitable disruptions into navigable courses rather than derailments.